Hi, today we are installing the Oracle Grid infrastructure. The Oracle Grid infrastructure is required for system support of the database instance. It will also install the ASM instance, and it's used for file management, volume management, as well as for Oracle database restart, automatic restart. So I already downloaded the binaries from the internet and I unzip the binaries. I'm going to now start the Oracle Universal installer. On this screen, we will select this option to configure Oracle Grid infrastructure for a standalone server, which will allow for Oracle restart. Now it asks me to select a disk group name. This is where it's actually creating an ASM disk group. ASM is Oracle's automatic storage management. It will allow for volume management or file management. Now, anybody who installs Oracle ASM is not required to use that for their data files. You can also use file system and other things, but Oracle ASM provides very high performance, and it's got several advantages which I'll be covering in another video. So for now, let's give it a disk group name. Let's say I've got this disk group which is just my basic disk group. So I'll say data external redundancy. So I've got this one redundancy external. Now you might say, what's external redundancy? It means that there is no mirroring for this particular disk group, which means I don't have any mirrored copies of my data. If I selected normal mirroring, then I would have two-way mirroring, which means I have one additional copy of my data. It just provides more reliability of your data. High means it will have three-way mirroring. And flex means you can have a combination of different types of mirrorings, either two-way mirroring or three-way mirroring, depending upon the needs. Then the allocation unit size could be 1 megabyte through 16 megabytes. So let's choose 4 for now. And right now it should have showed me some disks over here, which I can select for my Oracle ASM instance. But since I'm not seeing any disks, I need to go back and see where and how to add these disks. So for that, I'll start up the disk management software on Windows. I'll just have to go into the Windows Start button, click on that, and type disk management. And when I type disk management, I can see an option that says create and format hard disk partitions. So what I want to do is create a hard disk partition so that we are able to add that to the Oracle ASM instance. As you can see, I have some space here, and I've got a bunch of unallocated space. If you don't have this unallocated space, you can always go into one of the drives that you have on your PC, and then you can shrink that volume. So you could do a shrink volume, and as you can see, I have some extra disk space on my D drive. If I shrink it, it'll give me so much unallocated space, and then it'll show up on your PC as unallocated. So in this case, since I already have some space, I'm not going to shrink it anymore. So I'll just cancel out of this. From my unallocated space, I want to create new simple volumes. So I'll create a new simple volume, and I want this to be, say, 8 gigabytes. I'm not assigning any drive letter to it because it's meaningless. It's not going to be accessible from Windows. This is only for ASM. These are raw partitions, and I said do not format this volume so that it becomes a raw volume which is available for ASM. So as you can see, I have a new 8 gigabyte raw partition. Similarly, suppose I want to create 5 new volumes which are raw volumes. I'm going to go ahead and really quickly create them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need one more. Okay, so I have all my volumes. As you can see, there's no file system. These are all raw. I'm going to go back into my Oracle Universal Installer screen, and now before I can use those raw file systems that I just created, I would have to stamp them. I can either stamp them by running the ASM Tool G command line interface, and it'll let me put a stamp on them, or I can go from this screen and say stamp disk, and I'll add or change a label. I'm going to select all of these. Now it says generate stamps with this prefix data. You can call it whatever. Suppose it's finance data for you. You can say finance, or just I'll use a 3-letter prefix for it, finance data. Edit, at this point I can edit the names of the the links, and but I'm fine with these. I'll go ahead and accept it. Finish. Once I finish this, I should see all those disks on my screen. So I'm going to select all of these disks, and for my ASM instance, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on next. Of course, as recommended, the Oracle ASM will run in its own instance. So it runs just like an Oracle database instance. It has a SID of plus ASM. That's what it's called, and it will always be running. And you can do volume management, you can do file management through ASM. It requires the sys and ASM SNMP passwords, and it's recommended that they should be different. So I'm going to give it a password. And click next. One can register with EM Cloud Control at this point. If you have EM Cloud Control on your PC for various activities and tasks, you can register it. So right now I'm going to go ahead and click next. It's asking me to specify Oracle base, just like when I create an Oracle database instance, it asks me to specify an Oracle base. I'm specifying an Oracle base for my ASM instance on my D drive currently. So that's all we really needed to do, and it is quite a simple and effortless installation. So here we can change any settings and kind of review and take a look at everything if it looks okay, and it does. So you can either save it as a response file and run it in a silent mode later on, unattended or whatever. Otherwise you can just click on install. So really, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. If you want to, please subscribe to my channel, so I can get you, so that you can be notified of any new updates or new Oracle 18c videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you.